The funniest thing is, now I'm angry and rageful. I am enraged. Why won't it work on LinkedIn guitar?
I don't know, but I also can't hear the music. So
Listen, I fully have said, and everybody has said, like, Restream is absolutely like the worst. Just
well, they're rising to the occasion this
they
morning.
are just the worst. I hope everybody knows that it's the worst ever of all time. We've had more problems with Restream, and it just is what it is, right? It is
Yep,
what it is. But look at this. Look, Todd brought me coffee, and we have a
we
special.
have our matching cups. Look at that.
Yes. Hello. You are the she to my nannikins, Robin Swift.
Yes, I love this cup. Thank you, Katie Van Horn.
It's Katie Van. And for those of you who don't know, when we talk about Robin all the time, probably at least once or twice a show, this is Robin. That's the Robin we've been talking about. You know, when we talk about the girls, that's the other one. That's the not
It's
Katie.
the girl. Who's that girl?
We talk about Ibiza. This is the one going with us to Ibiza. How are you doing, Robin?
I am having a fabulous week. As I'll highlight in a moment. I'm wearing a hat because it's Mardi Gras season, so I've got my little Saints colored Mardi Gras fascinator on with a little king cake baby on it.
Right. I love it. Very, very Louisianian.
Yes, yes.
I'm putting in here in the chat. I'm sorry so much that it is not working through Restream, and it asked me to connect it, and I connected it, and so it's going live on Twitter. So we're just doing the thing, which means I'm going to go on Twitter. So now I want to change the name to Rage with Technology.
There we go. Which really will touch on anyway when we talk about our subject.
Right?
Uh,
So, speaking of rage of technology, did you see Kieran has been like my boss has been looking at GPT?
huh.
I don't know if you saw their last thing. It says, write me an outreach for an NLP engineer that has 10 years of experience. They're nearsighted and they're black and they live in Arizona. So the AI said NLP engineer wanted bonus points for being black, nearsighted, and living in Arizona. And the best part is the first sentence says, I hope this email finds you well, finds you well, and that your nearsightedness is not causing you too much trouble. Just kidding. I hope you can read this email.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's just the worst thing I've ever seen. Hope your nearsightedness is. Heard you have ADHD. Hope you didn't forget this meeting. I mean, what is wrong with people? Legit, what's wrong with people?
P.S. Do you need some sunscreen to protect your hopefully darker melatonin?
Right, exactly. What is wrong with people? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Well, I
Ugh.
hope that I'm putting it in so that when you have mentions, Kevin, thank you for coming over to Twitter. When y'all come and put your comments in. But I just, I just, I'm laughing at rage applying because I figured that's how everybody applies, right?
Yeah, I mean, so when we started, you know, diving into it a little bit. And again, I mean, we have to come up with a moniker for everything now, but it's the stuff people have been doing forever.
Right.
So yet here's another one coined by the air quote TikTok generation, right? And it was just like, this is not, it's just got a different name, but it's been forever. I have worked forever with people that quote rage applied. Um, entire departments sometimes would rage apply because they had a jerk of a boss, and boom, we're all leaving, boom, 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 and they all, especially when you look at certain jobs, service jobs and whatnot. I would have entire departments go down the street as a team. The difference with this rage applying is apparently, from what we read, it's young professionals. So is this Susie, the newly minted accountant,
Right.
that's doing it, which is a little different than.
It's scary. Like, you used to work in casinos, and I can imagine somebody coming in, ringing a bell, and saying, "Hey, they're paying $2 extra an hour down the
Yeah,
street," and everybody walking.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
And that's scarier. And the thing is, that's why it's so important. That's when we started talking about it's important to be, remember back in the day of having your jobs available via mobile. Because
yeah,
I was like, most people apply when they're pissed off at their boss when they go to the bathroom in
yeah,
between shifts. You have to be
yeah,
able to apply for a job in the time it would take you to go to the bathroom, wash your hands, and come back.
yeah.
Because that's
Well,
how people are doing it.
and I think the difference now, I mean, then this is not just like in 2023. The difference in the last, whatever, 10 years, let's say, is the ease with which people can rage apply, obviously, is, oh my God, I go here and it's a one click apply. So yeah, I could go and apply to a bunch of stuff with one click, as opposed to back in the day. And I'm going to sound like Grandpa Simpson now, but you had to, let me get my resume together, or I need to walk around and fill out applications, or I need to truly sit down and do applications thoughtfully. Now it can be, so the beauty of the one click apply, you know, um, encourages quote rage applying, and the poor recruiters or HR folks on the back end potentially getting um, folks whose motivation is not, I want to come work for you or in this job. I just want to get the hell away from where I am.
I mean, why would you want to hold on to those people anyway? Like, if you
Right.
really are if you're rageful because of what's going on at work, like, it's interesting that, and I don't know if this is generational. I don't know if I'm just like lucky in the job that I have, but I have seen, like, I feel like companies are going through it and are just trying to make these bets to hold on to people, and they're just not sure. I saw a woman that was who got let go from one of the layoffs, and she said, "Oh, they tried to act like we're a family, and then said, 'You didn't adopt me, you hired me,' like, just to make it clear, like,
Right.
you're
Right.
not becoming my parents." But also went into, remember 2 years ago when people started caring about people again? Like, that time is gone. And I
Yeah.
don't think that time necessarily is gone. I just think that they didn't make the proper adjustments for the cost of things that were going on. It costs less. People think it costs less for everybody to go and home. Not if you're in a lease, honey. A lot of
Yeah.
companies were in 2, 3, 4 year
Yeah.
leases, which is
Yeah.
part of why they want people to go back to work.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that most people are, it's just a control freak issue, but some people, they've made all of these different adjustments, work at home stipends, wellness stipends, increasing in diversity, sexual health care, all of those things that have changed that have been a major cost, and people aren't buying like they used to.
Right.
And they're like, I don't think anybody seems to know what they're doing. Do you know? Now you're good. These are the people that you get to talk to now
Yeah.
in your
Well,
new role. Well, tell everybody first. Let's back up. Tell everybody your new role, Robin.
It's been a fabulous week. So I have joined the fabulous team at Humoriso and get to work side by side with our boy John now every day and the
God
rest of the
bless you.
team. So I've been starting to meet, and of course we, knew a bunch of folks there already anyway. Um, and so this week I'm starting to have phone calls and meet other folks and going through some, organizational onboarding and training and things like that. It's very exciting. And we're going to build out um, talent strategy as one of the service offerings. So kind of end-to-end talent cycle consulting, whether that be let's talk about workforce planning and your 2, 3, 5 year plans and how do you do that and how do we get there and related to talent, all the way through kind of that talent cycle. Let's talk attraction and acquisition and your tech stack that's supporting it. Let's talk about onboarding and cultural affinity. Let's talk about performance management and let's talk about offboarding and what does that look like. So kind of anything within that cycle.
Right?
So it's things, of course, that the team has done or does for existing clients or new clients, but we're going to call it out, I guess, for want of a better word, and say, look, this is also something, this is stuff that's really important. And how does this fit in with the other things we already do around compliance and outsourcing and kind of having your P's and Q's together? And how does this tie into the DE&I work that
Yeah.
we're already doing? And how are all of these things connected? So it's really exciting.
I love that because I feel like it's a big picture. People are screwing that up really bad.
Yeah.
They don't look at the whole picture at the beginning. And
Yeah.
it's evident in all of these, like, I can't. If you've watched on TikTok and it's like hashtag BHM 2023 for Black History Month, so many HR people get they don't understand a lot. And they
Yeah.
getting called out. I don't know. People need
Yeah.
to like be careful because they getting
Yeah.
called out on TikTok, all these people. But I'm glad that there's people that can at least help a little.
Well, and there was speaking of our Humor Reso folks, and a previous coffee co-host as well. So our Sarah Morgan, posted I love how she's just um, a, a, a wealth of information sharing, I think, to people, especially in HR or business leaders that kind of need that, think about this stuff. So she shared an article yesterday, which was, I think we've said it forever, but it was a really good succinct article about, okay, it's Black History Month. And you may have the best of intentions at company X, but here's what not to do, or here's what, to think about before you do it. And it's not a flavor of the month. And it's oh my God, if you're going to, encourage, or try to, get a Black speaker in to talk to your staff, for God's sakes, they're not laboring for you for free, pay them
Right.
and, things like that. And so it's another, touch point in the work experience where I think companies some will have the best of intentions and they go about it wrong. And by the time they get through the month, they're going to have people that will want to rage apply and leave their organization.
That's right. This is a good month. If you want to lose people, this is a good month to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how to say I don't know how to say it any other different way.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like I just feel like people need to take these things more serious. And I don't think people realize that. Well, what I was shocked was looking at this person who was like, "Oh, okay. How can you get a job in a couple of days?" This woman did the
Yeah.
rage apply, right?
Yeah.
And so when she did the rage apply, it didn't allow it. She went and did it and got a job in 2 weeks, and she was like, and she got paid $25,000 more. She said,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting anybody to get there so quick.
Yeah. And I think she said, I think it's the same woman with the 25,000. She applied. It's not like she applied for hundreds of jobs. She applied for like
Right,
15 jobs. It didn't even say what she does. So she might be
right,
the one of, 50 super duper widget makers in the country. I don't know,
right,
right?
right.
But um that seemed, I don't know. Again, I take a lot of that crap with a grain of salt when you see
Yes,
these
same.
TikTokers saying it, because she got and this was a couple months ago, 2.3 million views or something like that on it.
Right.
And I think it's feeding this. It annoys me because it also kind of fed this destructive message to
Yes.
people who have been, and I know on coffee we've talked about layoffs and things there over the last couple of weeks, but they keep happening. And it hurts my soul that so many folks I know where I've been a little more connected to their personal job search, and they're like, they've applied for hundreds, and these are like
Yes.
talented, experienced people, and they're applying for hundreds of jobs, and they're somewhat flexible in terms of titles or this or that or whatever. And they get like a 5%, if that, response rate, let alone interviews, let alone job offers over months. And so it's kind of like, I don't know. Then I see somebody rage applying, um, and oh, I got, in 2 weeks I landed a job, and that hurts my heart for people that
Same.
are like, well, then what's wrong with me?
Right. Right. I mean, that's the part that I really don't get it. I mean, I don't know how that happened. Like you said, it could be like some freaking person who has this really, rare background.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of people that are still looking for work. And we need to figure out how we can do that, right? Like we
yeah,
need to figure out how we can get people where they need to be. And it
yeah,
just makes me sad.
yeah,
Um, and it is, I hope that people are finding jobs. I know that we have a lot of people that are looking. So I'd love to get an opinion on what you think people need to do if they are in the looking for more jobs. What do you suggest
mm,
for steps for people that are looking right now?
man. And I am by no means one of those people that will hold myself out as a career expert. Um, Necessarily, we have a lot of HR folks that have gone down that path, right?
Yeah,
With their, um, I think, and I guess I'm basing this on what I've seen so many people I know and friends and whatnot go through. And that is, and this sounds all very easy to say when you need to pay the rent and put food on the
right,
table, but um, you know, breathe and remember, I mean, it can be all consuming, right? Oh my God, I need a job, I need an income, right? Um, but walk away from, get a schedule, walk away from the computer. It's not an indication of your worth as a human being or a person
right,
if things are not happening. And that's probably the hardest part, and that's kind of like the core part though to remember. I think it's, people, um not be being somewhat systematic, um and finding a flow and a rhythm. Every morning from 8 to noon is when I'm gonna search jobs, apply for jobs, do cover letters, whatever. um Network, pick up a call, grab some, try to have a quick coffee chat with somebody, and that's hard for people to do. Reach out to those, don't be afraid to ask for help,
right,
um which I think is key. And also again hard for people to do. Um, one resource, and I'm going to give him a shout out because I think he's just absolutely wonderful. And since we're only on Twitter today, we can really
That's
find him.
right.
He's all over Twitter. Is Adam Karpiak. Um,
Yes.
has a fabulous resource and newsletter that he does specifically for job seekers. And you can find him on LinkedIn. You can find him on Twitter. He is just phenomenal at distilling reality down for people and building this community of people from all types of professions, looking for all sorts of things. And he's very practical and very supportive and is a great resource for job seekers. He's a recruiter. He runs his own
Yeah.
business, but he is just so invested in caring for the people
Yes.
out there,
And funny.
and hilarious.
I mean, it should be a stand up.
Yeah.
So many people
Yep.
going,
Yep.
I want it's important to we always say keep networking and doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's always really, really important. But it's really just like you have to keep going. And unfortunately, it's still regardless and this would happen at this time of year,
Yeah.
right? Like at the end
Yeah.
of fourth quarter and the beginning of first quarter.
Yeah.
Um and and so there's going to be lots of people in the next quarter that I hope are coming up with their plans and looking at their head count as they go if
Yep.
they didn't do it at the end of fourth quarter because
Yep.
some people don't. Hopefully we'll see some of those jobs going on. But I think what I'm also seeing is that people that were in director, manager roles go into individual contributor
Yeah.
roles.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah. I think we're still, it's, it's this, it's this maelstrom that we're still in from, the start of the pandemic. I mean, I don't know how long we can keep saying that, but we're still in it, right? But all of the things that started to happen in spring of 2020, and we thought, okay, these highs and these lows and these troughs, and in terms of work and employment and companies closing, opening, whatever. I mean, the ongoing effects of that are still going on, and I think part of that, yeah, there's layoffs, so people are leaving directors roles or leadership roles. I'm going to
Mhm.
be an independent contributor somewhere. Um, Maybe because they lost a job, but I think there's also there's still that after effect of what a lot of people learned, which was I'm going to reevaluate my life.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? Do I the normal, right? The stuff we're fed all our lives, right? March yourself up the corporate ladder, and then you're a manager and then a director and a VP or whatever, and you're building your little fiefdom. Um, and people, that's always been such an expectation. And I think people were like, you know what? Yeah, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. There are always people that will want to do that. Let
Right.
them, God bless them, knock yourself out. And there are others that was, nope, I want to create on my own or be a part of a small team or have a small team or do my own thing. And I think that that's also come out of this sort of 3 years of people reevaluating
Yes.
how, to use the cliche, right? Work life balance, right? Flexibility, whatever. What do I want to do? How do I want to do it? Where do I spend my time? Where do I get happiness and joy? Um, which I think is also part of it. And, uh, I think people have finally more people have said, you know what, I want to be, maybe happy is the wrong word, but I have no problem saying happy. I want to be happy at work. I want to have joy at
Right.
work. I want to, I want to, I want to have that. And I think more people have said that, and that's good and that's okay. And, there's a school of thought of, work's not here to make you happy. Well, you know what? Then then that's not where I want to work.
Well, then you should be at least content, right?
Right. Not
Like, I'm not
miserable
looking
and
for
rage
my
applying.
own happiness. I also, as you know, don't have a filter, so I don't know how to, like, not overshare at work. I don't know how people do that. I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, am I not supposed to? I realize working with you for 2 years, I've never seen every member of your family.
Yes.
Why do everybody knows every member? I can't help it. But I was thinking, if you want to rage apply, great, but don't
Yeah.
rage accept. Okay,
Yes. Yes. And but
like
that's a really good point because that's the impact of if I'm rage applying and I'm rage applying because I want to get the hell out of where I am so freaking bad. The first thing that comes along, am, am I going to accept that then? And
right.
and and then I go in there and because I'm running away from something. I'm not running to something.
That's right.
And so if I'm running away from something, and just land the first place I land, is that cycle going to repeat itself in 6 months? And
And
I'm
it's
really trying
hard.
to
I
figure out.
mean, like, because, you remember when we talk about it when I was laid off and how me and you and Katie had talked about it, and I got a job and then I worked at Human Resource for a little while. Um, and I eventually started at Seek Out. I was at Seek Out and I loved my job.
Yeah,
And I love the team and I still love the product. I'm a champion for the product. But then it was the right time for me to be able to move on. And I think
yeah.
we all accepted that. I was like, Seek Out will never let me leave. Every time they're around, they're like, Jackye, oh, look, here's a shirt. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? I don't work there anymore. Okay, it's nice. Whatever, cool. Yeah, we're
We
still
can
friends.
reactivate your email for you.
Yeah, yeah. And they're now on the list. They're on the Recruiting Daily, like SourceCon. For those of you who really don't know, I used to work at SourceCon. I used to work for TLNT for ERE. And then I worked at Recruiting Daily. So every time there's stuff in my life, they're always like, can you host or will you do that? Sure, sure. Because I owe some of the best times of my life there. I don't mind doing it. And they're the same. Hey, can you do that? Like, I don't work there. But whatever. Um, but I do think that if you're in the beginning of your career, watching like my oldest, Clay going through their first job and I probably rage applying, at least a couple
Yeah,
times because they don't realize the world of work. And this
yeah,
is totally Gen X thinking. So please, in the economy, it's not just happening to what's going on and it affects management.
yeah.
There's a lot of stress. I'm not trying to give anybody a pass. I'm just saying before you start leaving, I always ask people like, do you like your boss normally? Does this seem not unusual? Do you see a lot of things coming down at once? Maybe your boss is having a difficult time being transparent about what's really going on and have a conversation before you leave. Maybe you're in a position that you didn't realize that could help and add a little bit of support to get things back to normal. It's stressful. It's a stressful time. It has been for the last couple of years, and I think it's important again just to, if you want to rage apply, go for it. But you need to understand what's going on because you could be rage applying right into the same exact
Yep,
environment that you're
yep.
trying to leave.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think about that.
Yeah, and I think that's it gets back to the and again, everybody's circumstances are different. I always come back to the reality is sometimes people have to. I do have to take what I get because I've been unemployed for 3 months and I can't buy toilet paper. Right? I mean that's reality. Or can't live on unemployment. Thank you, Louisiana. Max of $247. I think we're the second lowest state. How can somebody live or support their family on $247 a week? That's the max.
Ridiculous.
I mean, that's the max you can get. But anyway, so there are people that, yes, will I'm gonna go work for Acme Corporation because oh my God, that's the only one that's offered me something. But then there's the other, if you're going to rage apply, you're not doing the thoughtful pieces that come before that. What do I want to do? What am I good at? How do I vet the company? Because if you're just you're shitting in the barrel, right? And you're just going for everything. You're not taking that time to let me go look at it can take 3 minutes, right? But let me go look at their Glassdoor, their Indeed, take it with a grain of salt, but get a sense of the company, what they do, what it's about. And rage
Right.
applying, you're not doing that. And again, and you're also with rage applying, and we know how not good a lot of companies' job postings slash job descriptions are, right?
Right.
How do you know what you're applying for? Again, it's a list of bullet points, and you know,
You're not
do,
taking the time to look at the
no,
company.
right?
There's so many. I feel like I know that we look at people. Some people look at like DEIB as political. It's not
Yeah,
political to try to make sure that everybody feels included, that they can get to the work of their job.
yeah,
Let me tell you something, like really honestly and truly. And I've worked for several companies that have tried to have an inclusive environment. But then when it came right down to it, had some hero coming in on a white guy on a white horse trying to say, well, this is what we're going to do. And this is what's going to happen to the company without considering all of the people
yeah,
at the organization. And it is like this was the second time I've been here over a year, close to a year and a half at Textio, and it was the
yeah,
second time that we did Black History programming. I know, doesn't it seem like I know?
gee,
So we're doing the Black History Month programming, and we put it up, and we're watching various movies. We have this collard greens and cornbread for food. We're doing these gift boxes, and I cried again. I cried again because I was able to just do my job.
yeah, yeah,
I didn't have to worry, is this going to offend anybody? And it's
yeah,
like it's the first time that I've worked in an organization where everybody understands the importance, understands that that's where we're going, understands that that's what we're trying to create. It's the first time where the head of product at my company, he's a white guy, but we were going through all of the different scenarios, and he was like, which ones do you like, which ones do you not like, and tell me which one. And when he was telling me what the difference was between all of the different pieces of the product, he was like, this one centered white men on the thing. You didn't like it. You told me you couldn't figure out why it made you feel some kind of way. And he was
uh-huh,
like, this one was centered around like white men, but also so are a lot of things. So I don't think you noticed that that's what was happening.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I was like, I also didn't realize that you were a white guy telling me that. Like,
yeah,
and I also didn't realize that, it was different for me. I didn't have to find it. Like there's a certain amount of pressure. And I think you see that with a lot of the posts right now. Like for Black History Month, make sure everybody's paid equally. Well, we already do that. Like for
right,
Black
right,
History Month, tell everybody what you make. Well, we already have that on a list. Or
right,
look at who's getting promotions, or make sure there's salary calibrations, or all these different things. The companies who aren't doing it aren't going to do it because it's Black History Month,
right, right,
right? Like
right,
these are the companies, it's almost like rage apply for those companies that are already doing it.
yeah, yeah,
I talked to a guy yesterday. He, and this is funny because my title, like BP and TA and DEIB. So they're like, oh, we've got the perfect product for someone who does DEIB. Calls me on the phone and says, well, there's always a problem with salaries and not having fair salaries. So this way you have it up front and you can negotiate and then tell people what they should make based on this and that. And it makes it more fair. And I was like, actually, we pay everybody the same, like for this role. It's like, oh yeah, but what if you want him and he, wants to make more money? And I was like, no, we look for people within this role. like we tell them in the beer, then he doesn't go
Yep.
through. Then it's our loss, and we have to go
Yep.
back and we'll call him if that changes. We have to recalibrate and look at
Yeah.
everybody to do that. You
Yeah.
know, like we have what the range is, and we know how long. And he didn't believe me, and he said, "You can't keep that up forever. So you need my product, like in case you decide to be on." And I was like, he goes, "Do you really think everybody's going to go to that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do."
And it we had a guest on Drive Through HR the other week, and we were talking about pay equity, and he's like a comp consultant. They're rare to find, right? So he kind
Yes.
of does comp consulting, and so obviously, and he's in California, so a big thing they do is because obviously California has in January some new regulations, and which I think are good, yeah, cumbersome for employers, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The intent, I always find the intent of California's employment laws are solid and are moving us along this continuum. So, would I want to have to do this reporting? No, but I'm glad it's there. But anyway, we were talking about pay equity and that whole concept of why, and I've been in this work for years and years and years and years, and I have always, from the very first job, my very first recruit, because I started in recruiting on my very first recruiting job. Thank God I had a boss that believed this way, or I would have learned something totally different. And he believed, and the organization did very much in, this is ages ago, right? I mean, our pay grades, our pay bands, what we were going to hire, it was extraordinarily transparent right from the get go. I would get an applicant on the phone. I'd be, doing my phone screens or calling them from their resume, whatever. And one of the first things out of my mouth was, this is what we'll pay. All right. Is this in line
That's
with
right.
what you're looking for? Right out the gate. And I've always employed that transparency and that openness and that this is what we're going to pay. And you're exactly right. If that's not working anymore, you're gathering that data, or you're getting those candidates saying, oh, hell no, no, and if you're not simultaneously constantly looking at the market, where are you losing people to? What's the going rate? Do we need to adjust? And then making those adjustments externally and internally, um, you're going to fall behind it. But if you do those things and you do that thoughtfully and openly, everybody freaking wins. And I
You're
don't
right.
understand this why pay equity and pay transparency and things like that are so secret. I mean, I've worked for organizations where they don't even want to tell employees
No.
this is the pay range, pay band, whatever.
The thing that I love, and I went back on the chat, and Wendy Daly, thank you, you're my hero and savior. Wendy has been retweeting and
Oh,
sharing
yay! Good.
comments and saying
Can't hope.
things, and I appreciate Aaron is there, Adam Karpiak appreciated the
Yay!
shout out. But one of the things that was said was focusing on promoting people. It says we need to stop promoting people who don't understand how biases affect their decisions and
Yeah.
ensure that we are actually training people on how to evaluate an application.
Yeah.
Right. The
Yep.
other part is it says we were talking about like people and helping them grow instead of just being in a supervisory role.
Yep.
Like the thing that people don't understand when we explain to them, this is the band on where you start. This is when they see the high end of the band, like
Yeah.
understand this is for people who don't want to be a manager but want to stay in your job.
Right. Right.
Believe it or not, my sister, God, and if you don't know my sister, Vegan Radiance, like she looks younger than me. She's 10 years older. I hate her. She's kind of an asshole for that. But she worked at Robert Half for over 20 years. I don't know if you know that. She worked at Robert Half. She was an event planner. Any ex-halfers in the house,
Hmm.
there is like this huge event for all the top people, and she did that forever. And she had at least 3 people that were hired under her become her boss because she refused to. become a boss.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where so many people all of a sudden, maybe a life change where they need more money.
Yeah.
And the only way they can get more
Yeah.
money
It's
is by
become a
taking
manager.
on and that's a huge responsibility. If you're going to a life change, like, because we've got kids older
Yep.
than, college age and college graduates or near graduates or of the age, not necessarily went to college, but we have adult children.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of times it feels very familiar of that whole from elementary school to junior high where all of a sudden you need a freaking boat of money that you weren't counting on, and the same transition when you go to high school.
Yep.
It's the same transition when they go to college, but then there's a life change where they
Yep.
just need support as they finally are like, okay, you're getting your first apartment, and then you cheer and you're like, ooh, they're gonna need these things if you want to
Yep.
support
Yep.
people. That's not the time to try to manage people.
Right.
Like,
Right.
well, you are going through these life changes. And I ask as a recruiter all the time, do you want to be a manager or do you want more money? Do you feel like you have good managing skills? Or
Mm-hmm.
do you feel like you've got great people skills? Or do
Mm-hmm.
you think now's the time that you've worked here long enough? And I know that people will look at, like, even our recruiters. If you want to be a recruiter too, you can work your way all the way up to an executive salary level at a recruiter too, and not have to have anybody work for you.
Yep.
Now, if you're at the point where you are a recruiter too and you're at the max, you might need to look at your skills and see what you're really doing,
Yeah.
because maybe you should have been
Yeah.
a director. The trick is it also protects you in fairness because they're not asking you to do other work. Because if you look at all the competencies, if I do that work, it puts me into another band.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you keep things fair.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who aren't come from the HR or TA world, little secret, your company has bands. You need to talk to them about what you can do, because sometimes your skills can translate into another role that you didn't
Mm-hmm.
consider.
Mm-hmm. And California, as an example, as one of the states now, your employer is required to show you that. If you
Yeah.
go and you say, I want to see the pay band that my job is in, they have to show that to you. They can't
Yes.
not share that anymore.
And the thing is, it's like, I, so if you look, this is the way these things kind of trickle together. We got New York is requiring, we've
Yep.
got California that's requiring, and we got Colorado in the middle. If you don't think that's going to start,
Yep.
the Kraken, we're
Yep.
releasing the Kraken.
Yep. Yep.
And it's going to happen. And the part that makes me sick and nauseous are the people that are fighting so fiercely to not share that information.
Mm-hmm.
We know what that
Mm-hmm.
means.
The other day, within the last week or two, I saw a post on Twitter. I'm still on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
And I still like see so much news on there. And so I saw this on Twitter. Somebody saying, "Hey, it's I want to say 14th anniversary of the Lilly Ledbetter Act."
Mm, mm, mm.
I mean, remember that was holy crap! This is going to change the world, and
Still,
we're still talking about it, and we're still not there. I mean, that opened the conversation
I
about.
feel like this is what Wendy said. Wendy Daly said, the reason pay is still a secret is we don't want to have the uncomfortable conversation with employees about why someone may be paid differently. We need to
Yep.
train supervisors about compensation and how to have that conversation. And here's the
Amen
hot
and
take,
hallelujah.
right? The hot take is your women know they're being paid less,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Your people of color, Hispanic, and Latino, they know
Yeah.
that they are.
Yeah.
They just need you, like, you know, was about to say, I'm sensitive. Then I just had a flashback of me and you in Vegas crying at 2 a.m. I
Yes.
miss you. I miss you so much, Robin. I guess you would know more than anyone. You and that guy that was like, "Is Jackye okay?" You're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
she's fine."
Yeah.
So we were looking at we're putting this product out for performance feedback, and one of the things that came out is that when you were a Black woman, you got personality feedback and that you got not as much actionable feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that was telling is it didn't matter the gender or the race of the manager giving that feedback.
Hmm.
Which brings us to like thinking of the Tyree situation,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm. Yep.
tragic in Memphis. I was not surprised knowing that we are taught the system is working exactly
Yes.
the way it's supposed to,
Yes.
and you have to fall in that system. So
Yeah.
we work in that same system.
Yep.
Then why would you think that you were going to be punished? And why would it matter, whatever the race or the person of what that is, if that's how we treat people?
Mm-hmm.
That's how we learn to treat people. Then that's just
Mm-hmm.
how we treat people. And so
Mm-hmm.
a lot of this, like, we like I know. Like, so here's the funny thing, and I don't know if you knew this. So when I started at we were hiring in Colorado, and at the time when I first started, people were saying we hire globally or nationally, but not in Colorado because
Yeah.
they didn't
There,
want to have to
there were
post
a
it.
lot of companies at that time when that came out that said that exact same thing. Yeah.
They were like, we won't do it, and so I didn't know that the last person that worked before me said no, had refused to post it, and I just posted it. I was like, okay. And then I'm in the Wall Street Journal. I was like, oh, is that a thing? Like, I didn't know it was a thing. And people were, I was like, well, it just seemed, just do the right thing, right? But then I realized because we had to do some recalibration, some people weren't
Yeah.
really happy. And it was like, oh, this is why people don't do that work. We're only dealing with 130 people.
Right.
It's different when you have to, I've got two Amazonians.
Yeah.
When you have to do 1.6 million people.
Right. Right.
Because what would be the easy thing? I'll help you all out. Okay, if anybody from Amazon's here, let me help you out. Today, say, these are what I'm paying you across the board,
Yep.
regardless of what you have today. This is what you're going to get paid on Wednesday. If you
Yeah.
want to leave, we'll give you 2 weeks. And then that's it. And some
Yeah.
people are going to get a 50% bump. Some people are going to get a 20% decrease, whatever
Yep.
it is. And you just make it so. That's
Yep.
how we say that's the other thing. Like, oh, you don't want to have racist at your company? Fire them. We can take care of this whole problem.
Yep.
But then you
Yep.
have to build programs to support where it's like, well, what can I do to get to the next level and hold people to competencies? And then people get mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that means, like, for some people, it's like, well, it means that you're going to have to do your job. And then they're like, what's my job? That's the other part you have to do. Make
And I
sure
think,
people know what they're doing.
that's a perfect example of what you could pick an issue, even a different issue than that, but what companies are afraid to do, and the microcosm of HR teams are afraid to do, which is, we get very accustomed to, okay, we're going to make this change, a cultural change, a policy change, a pay change, whatever it is, right? And so we're going to map out this plan, and we're going to work our way there. Okay, we're going to get to pay equity. So how are we going to do that? Well, we can't adjust everybody at once. We're going to, over the next 3 years, right? We're going to start hiring people in more. We're going to calibrate wages differently, but we're going to work our way there instead of, and that's just one type of situation, right? One conundrum. Sometimes you just need to rip the damn bandage off.
That's right.
And say, give people notice that you're doing it. Don't do this, overnight. And here we are. but we're going to make a change, and it might seem drastic. It might seem we've gone from A to Z, like boom, here's why, here's what we're doing, here it is, we're ripping the bandage off and we're changing whatever.
That's right.
Instead of project planning it out and never getting there.
Death by committee.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's like, I say, and this is Jackye math, I made this up. Do it Thursday at lunch, give everybody Friday off.
Yeah.
And we start on Monday. And it's in the name of fairness. And that you look at your policies or whatever. Of course, people that are responsible for people policies would have been working on this for a couple months.
Yeah.
Because the problem is when you're not there to support the people. And look to, like, these are the things that we're going to do to make sure that this is a fair and balanced. I think sometimes, like we always say, when you have been receiving things unfairly, you feel oppressed when things start feeling like fair and balanced.
Yeah.
You know? But eventually people can rally around fairness. You know? Because, and if they can't, you don't want them there.
Exactly. And that's the hard with any of these changes, and really kind of back to Wendy's comment as well, as about, train your managers and your leaders and equip them to have with the knowledge and to have these conversations and not just say, oh, well, HR made me do it or whatever. Right. But when you make a change that is big like that, and you rip the bandage off and here we go. And as of Monday, we're going to start doing X and whatever. Then the hard work, the second piece of the hard work becomes sticking to that and holding people accountable.
That's right.
And holding those managers accountable or individual employees or whatever. And if here's the new way of operating, whatever the issue is, and if you're not, what's the old cliche? You're not on the train, get off type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And stick into that. Which is the hesitancy. Oh, well, we can't afford to lose. Bob's the biggest jackass in the world, but we can't afford to lose him.
That's it's also why, like, you have to turn it into a PR event, not because you're tooting your own horn. It's because people are going to leave, but there's other people that are like, I want to work at some place that's fair.
Yep.
And maybe there are companies that, you would have to do it region by region by region. But I think that as long as employees are looking and demanding fairness and willing to make a change, these kids, let me tell you, it's not, and I say kids, a blanket, it's everyone, will change jobs in a second.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking for people for a year. They're saying like your first couple of jobs, I don't remember how many, it's usually like 6 months.
Yeah.
And people still looking, saying, oh, this person's a job hopper. Stop it.
Yeah.
People are trying to find a place where they can do the work that they want to do.
Yeah.
This world of work, it is changing. We have not seen the end of these changes. And we have to start making changes with sanity and not having a traumatic event be the catalyst of change, because then you're just promoting these cataclysmic events. Like, let's just try, if you're at your organization on trying to get on that path of what you're going to do, even if it's like, how are we going to celebrate these things? It is hard. Wendy said, fire the productive assholes, because honestly, they're not real productive. Because they're distracting to everybody else from doing their work. And that's the saddest piece. Well, we've got like 2 minutes. What do you want people to know more than anything else? People that are like, they came to see Rage applying and they're like, they just applied for 25 jobs because they didn't know it was something they should do.
I would say, and again, this is a very general blanket statement and maybe a little Pollyanna-ish. I would say if before you rage apply, look at all the factors. Do you like the work? What do you not like about your current situation? Do you like or not like the work? Do you like or not like your boss? Do you like or not like the company? What do you like or not like? What's kind of the catalyst for making you rage apply? And then truly think about, um, is there if I really like the work that I'm doing, or I really like the company, or whatever, there's something that you truly like about it, maybe you can get it changed. And think about that before you just go and rage apply. Sometimes all three things might suck. And so, yeah, I just got to get out of here. But if there's something that brought you there in the first place, is that still present to some degree? And if so, the shit that's not working, can you try to get that changed? I don't know. If there's something that you like enough
That's right.
about where you are, see what you can do. Talk to your manager, not all HR people are evil. Go talk to HR. Find, at least try if there's enough there that you like. Because, deciding to leave somewhere at the end of the day is really, I perceive the value somewhere else to be greater than the value I'm getting right here. Well, again, that's a perception of what that
That's right.
value out there might be. So what's here? Can I try to change it? And maybe take that step first.
I agree with you. And also remember, to add to that, the recruiting world is really small.
Yeah,
You don't want
yeah,
25 recruiters that you say, "Oh, just kidding," to, because that could
yeah,
have been your only shot. Because
yeah,
there are people like, "Oh, the last time I called them, they had a job." And even if they liked you, they're going to wait till next quarter, 2 quarters before you
yeah,
get an opportunity to go back. And every time you see a job that you, "Oh, I think I might like this one," they'll be like, "No, I talked to them and they liked their other job." Like understand that there are people having to sort through all this stuff. If you're not serious, wait till you're serious, that you've done your
yeah,
analysis and you're ready to walk when
yep.
somebody's doing that. Because nobody's going to want to hire you when you say, "Oh, I was just mad."
Right,
No one's going
right,
to like,
right.
"I
Why
have
do you want to
this
work here? Oh, because I'm mad at my,
because my boss is mean."
because I'm raging against the machine that is
I'm
my
raging
job.
against the machine. Well, I appreciate you. It's 10:02. Thank you. I'm sorry it's on Twitter. I will have this worked out by next week, whether it's Restream or somebody else. I swear to you. I can't
And
take
thanks
it.
to Wendy and Adam and Kevin and
Yes, I
everybody that
appreciate
came
you
on the
so
on the
much.
Twitter chat.
Everyone who came out, and cheers. We'll have a toast. You
Cheers!
are the key to my shenanigans. Click, click, click.
Yes!
All right.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye!